Hi, and welcome to creating a clay landscape. Um, some of my older students have been learning about slab construction, so using our slab ruler in class. But really, a big part of this is trying to figure out how to draw in the surface of clay. So, we've acquainted students with a variety of different sorts of materials. I've got my needle tool that you just saw there, just adjusting my other clay tools. So, we cut for students in class, cut them little slabs. Once they have the slab, we've got this base, and we've been writing our name on the surface of these. These are reusable. They've been quite a revelation in our classroom. But basically, using a needle tool, students can start to cut out the frame for their clay. So we talked about that concept of additive and subtractive. Additive is when we add clay to clay. Subtractive is when we pull it away. And then really, we've been starting to sketch out a kind of a frame on the outside, but on the inside is where we create the landscape. So students created sketches prior to class, and we were trying to show foreground, middle ground, and background. So after we did that, trying to show those different sorts of textures, here's what I'm going to show you. We've talked about that concept of a horizon line and another horizon line. And these multiple horizon lines start to show near and far, show distance. We also talked to students about how they might be able to show even things like a road or a stream, but how we might be able to show that in perspective as well. So, but the star of the show when we're working on these is really the texture. So showing students how to use, again, a variety of different tools. Okay, to create a variety of different textures. Now, one of the bonus parts of this also is showing students how to use a ribbon tool. Now, a ribbon tool, I think, is one of the unsung heroes of just hand building construction. Okay, folks that have worked on the wheel before, you know how valuable these tools can be, but just doing hand-built construction like this, and you can see that my clay is actually giving me a little bit of resistance. It's slightly dried, which is actually working in my favor right now. Sometimes it's harder when it's totally wet. So I'm just starting to subtract some of that background. And by subtracting it, it's starting to create a little bit more depth. So kind of some near and far depth action. Here we go. So some students chose to carve out the background a little bit more. Some started to create more texturing exactly right here in the front. Okay, but after I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and start to add some pieces into the background. Now, whenever we add clay to clay, we have to do those magical 3 words: score, slip, seal. So I'm going to add some score marks, add some slip, which is that clay and water mixture. I'm going to put those together. Now I'm going to go ahead and seal those really well. Now, those kiddos that know clay really well in my classroom know that slip helps to smooth out different areas. It also acts as a kind of a glue. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth that out. I'm going to reinforce some of those lines first. And there we go. I think I might even start to use some slip. Some have used slip to create like textured sorts of clouds in the background. I'm going to start to build those up a little bit, but I might even start to put a little bit more in the sky. Now, the next steps, after we've carved that landscape, students have started to work on subtracting bits from the frame as well, if they want to. Some students have started to build up parts of the frame. Okay, so there are lots of different options. I'm going to show you some examples. Here's one that's been dried. It's already in the greenware stage. All the water has evaporated out of it. So similar thing. I've got 1, 2, 3 horizon lines. Line water lays still like that. Here's one that's in the, even a little bit more dry. You can see it's turning white here. This is the plastic stage when it's still malleable and it can move around. But this one has been fired. And so what we'll eventually do when all is said and done There, maybe you can see it a little bit better that way. So when all is said and done, we're going to start to watercolor these on all sides, and then we'll do a clear coat of Mod Podge over the top. All right, thanks for joining us for Clay Landscapes.